I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. Welcome back to Aspire to Lead, as I'm so excited to be with my good friend Jeff Gargas as we are finally coming back together for an Aspire Mailbag. Before we begin, though, I wanted to talk to my aspiring leaders. So if you're a current leader, this may not pertain to you, so you can go ahead and fast forward to get to the mailbag episode. But for my aspiring leaders, I created a new resource, and it's called the Leadership Inventory Reflection, which you can find on my main page at joshstamper.com. But I want you to think about some of the things that you are a part of. Maybe it's a campus or district community, maybe it's an aspiring leadership program, and I can think of many things where I was sitting there and I was actually reflecting in the moment as I was in a meeting or while I was trying to get a leg up on someone else during an Aspire leadership conversation, and thinking to myself, is this really going to get me seen by the right people? Is this really going to help me get the experiences I need to talk about this in an interview? Or is it just hard work? Is it just one more thing I need to do in a really stressful time of my life? I can think of countless things where I volunteered myself for school programs and district committees and coaching and fill in the blank. And when it came time to go through that interview process, which is stages and stages of talking with principals and district leaders to get to the role that I wanted, a lot of times the things that I was talking about and the experiences that I needed weren't on my resume. It never came up in conversation because those things didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And so I want you to go through this inventory, and I want you to put down the activities, and I want you to use it to help in your reflection to see, is this just one more thing to do that isn't going to help me? Or are there certain things that I am a part of that I need to lean into heavier or harder? Or maybe there's some experiences that I don't even have on this list that I know for a fact will be something that I'll be talking about, or will be an experience that I'll need when I get to that leadership position. And I know it's difficult and I know that it takes time, but this inventory is meant to be just a 20-minute activity. And honestly, this is the first activity that we're going to do in the Aspire to Lead cohort. So if this is something that's interesting to you and you want to dive deeper, but you don't want to do it alone, one, the Aspire to Lead cohort is going to give you a roadmap, not just one more committee. It's going to give you a community so you're not in isolation. And then lastly, you're going to have strategic positioning where it's not just one more thing on a list for you to do. And that's exactly what this cohort is going to provide you. So I know everyone listening has goals of where they want to go in the future in their leadership position. Super excited about the Aspire to Lead cohort. I just want to let everyone know that if you are interested, there's an application on the cohort section of joshstamper.com. Also, the cohort enrollment is going to close November 29th, and we're going to start on December 1st. So that only gives you a couple weeks left. There are a few founding memberships left, so that's going to give you a huge discount. If you're interested, I would say do that quickly before that cost jumps back up, and that's going to be like a $300 difference. So I want you to make sure that you are one of the founding members. It's a lifetime investment. If you have any questions, definitely hit me up at joshua@joshstamper.com. That's my email, and we can definitely talk about the cohort, which I'm so excited to get started. With that, let's jump into this wonderful Aspire Mailbag as Jeff Gargas and I finally get to reconnect and answer the listener questions. Welcome to Aspire to Lead, where we empower educators and school leaders to grow, inspire, and thrive. I'm your host, Joshua Stamper, author, speaker, and leadership coach, bringing you conversations that spark transformation, challenge the status quo in education, and equip you to make a lasting impact on your campus or in your district. For more information and resources, visit joshstamper.com as we're looking to ascend to new leadership heights together. All right, welcome back to the Aspire Mailbag. This is the 35th episode with my good friend, COO of Teach Better, Jeff Gargas. Thank you so much for joining. I know it's been a little bit of time since we did episode.
When was the last one?
You know, we never prepped for the show, so I probably should.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm like, had we
work.
prepped for this, we might have looked at that. Like, if you want to do your little intro and talk, I'm literally going to look right now, like Apple, on and see, like,
let's do that.
When was the last one we did?
I'm going to fill folks in because I know we've gotten new listeners from all over the world since the last time that we've been doing the Aspire Mailbag. For those who maybe this is the first time, we reach out to folks through Voxer and X and Instagram, and we are asking for leadership questions from those who are listening and following us. And in the past episodes, we usually answer anywhere between 3 and 5, and Jeff's laughing. So it's probably been quite some time.
Almost 5 months. It was
Good
June
night,
7th that one came out.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it, dude. I don't like it. This isn't okay.
Well, I've gotten a lot of good Jeff Gargas time today, so I'm glad we've
had some extra time today. That's true.
Yeah, we've got to catch up. So what's been going on in your world, Jeff, since June of 2025?
I mean, same old, right? Apparently not recording anything with Josh. But
I'm starting to take offense.
I mean, a lot of good stuff. We've got some cool stuff going on with the team right now that we are in the process of a few things. We've got an entrepreneur summit coming up. Yeah. And we're actually, and I don't think I've shared this with you, but we've got a full revamp and relaunch of the Teach Better Academy in the works now, which is going to completely change the way it looks and feels and operates. And so that's kind of exciting. And we're in the thick of, supporting schools and doing what we do on a daily basis right now. So we're doing a lot of kind of revamping, reflecting, readjusting, relaunching, or changing or pivoting different things in the business right now. So it's exciting. It's a lot of work. It can be, it can be stressful, but also like just kind of weird to like maybe decide not to continue doing something that we've done in the past, stuff like that. So we've done a lot of that over the last, 18 months. So it's been an interesting journey, but they want a lot of really cool things going on right now. So we're excited about some stuff coming up. So yeah. It's and awesome. Then, being a dad and stuff, doing that nonsense. We just had Halloween, and trick or treat and all that stuff. So it's exciting.
Oh man. I'm literally getting messages.
Are you getting messages with questions right now?
Can you hear the dinging that's happening?
We're in it right now. I heard a ding. I just figured it was delivery.
Leslie just asked me to do something
or something. I don't know. Or yes,
my honeydew list is growing as we speak.
Stop hanging out with Jeff on video and do the things you said you were going to do. That doesn't sound like Leslie at all. Like,
no, it doesn't.
She Leslie's would just
so chill.
Anyone listening who thinks that Josh does anything around the house, you don't know Leslie.
It's true.
It might be like, I need you to get out of the house. You're making too much noise. So June 7th. So that's ridiculous and unacceptable. So we're going to have to fix that nonsense from going out. It can't be 5 months before we record again. Yeah, Joshua.
I know. So what we're referring to is that me and Jeff just recorded a Teach Better Talk episode.
We did. Yes.
And I got a chance to talk about the new leadership cohort being built for my Aspire audience. You've heard maybe a couple episodes, just kind of an intro of that. I got a chance to talk with Kim Gamaros about the community as it was being constructed, but we are launching December 1st. So if you want more information, Jeff and I had an awesome conversation about all of the different aspects. You can head over to joshstamper.com/leadership-cohorts. There's also a free webinar I just did the replay, posted that on YouTube, and that's linked in that same space there. So if you want more information, there's a ton there. If you're an aspiring leader, you're looking for a group to be a part of to enhance your leadership journey, of course, I'd love for you to be a part of that. And there's a short application. It'll take you like 3 minutes, but you can fill that out. But we'll talk about that more in future episodes also. Jeff, I don't know about you, man. You ready to jump into these leadership questions?
Yeah, let's go. I'm excited about the fact that like we had some extra ones coming in. Was that through Voxer or is that through through Voxer? Okay, awesome.
So
love it.
I call myself a Voxer head. I'm on Voxer every day.
Is that a thing? Voxer?
No,
head?
I'm just making it up. I'm coining it right now. Like a sneaker head, but a Voxer head, right?
Sure.
Jeff loves it. I can tell by his face he loves it.
Aren't you just a Voxer? Like, because it's already like
that doesn't sound cool enough. I gotta like amp it
a
up
Voxer head. Okay.
Yeah. Voxer.
So I don't know in my mind, I'm picturing you with like, the Wisconsin cheese heads, like things that you put on the foam, but it's like the Voxer logo. It's
the Voxer orange logo. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got the little, I don't know, that looks like.
Hey, any Voxer employee wants to sponsor the Aspire to Lead podcast, you just let me know. I will wear that hat.
Absolutely wear that hat if you have.
I will wear that hat. I would do that.
Part of me needs to know whether Voxer has thought about doing that yet. We should probably grab voxerhead.com.org.net and
I love how your mind's going, Jeff.
I don't think this is a valuable episode right now, so we should probably move on from that.
Let's jump in. So Alex Valencic, obviously is a huge Teach Better community member. He's been following Aspire to Lead.
That's our dude.
This is our guy.
Yes.
Yep. So he right away, within seconds of me pushing the message in Voxer, responded with this question. And he asked, how do you respond to a directive to do something that you've already been doing without coming across defensive or argumentative? And I guess there's probably a couple ways to go about this due to context. So where do you want to go with this, Jeff?
So how do you respond to a directive to do something that you've already been doing? Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I could see a few different ways because like, is this a situation where it's something maybe in practice that I'm already doing, but maybe my leader or whoever's giving me directive doesn't know that I'm doing it or hasn't, and either because maybe I'm not doing it well enough, or maybe because they just don't see it. Maybe they haven't checked in and they're like, hey, Josh, I've been thinking, I'd really like you to start, checking in with teachers on a weekly basis. Make sure you're doing a touch point with every teacher. And you're like, I've literally done that my entire leadership career. Like, or is it possibly the situation where it's like, Josh asked me, hey, Jeff, can you start doing this task every week or whatever? And then I started doing it. And then Josh comes back to like, hey, Jeff, just want to make sure, like, can you start doing this task? And I'm like, dude, like, I've been doing it. Like, why do you not know that? Right. So I can see, and I don't know, maybe there's another scenario that I'm not even thinking of, but like that to me, I was like, okay, that could go either way. And I'm not sure where Alex is coming from. Maybe both. I think they kind of both go in the same boat as like they can feel frustrating because they can feel like either maybe there's a lack of trust there or a lack of observation or a lack of accountability from a leadership side of like paying attention to what's going on, or maybe a lack of acknowledgement for the work that you're already doing or the effort that you're already putting in. And I think the way to respond to either of those is to kind of take a breath first off if you're feeling some of that stress or that frustration, or almost feeling attacked maybe in a sense, in a way, potentially, depending on how it was brought to your attention or how it was asked. But I think the key there is to respond with depending on the situation of saying, actually I am, here's how I've been doing that. I apologize. Is there a different way that you wanted me to do that? Or perhaps maybe I'm not living up to what you're looking for, or whatever. Like, I think there's a lot of instances where you say, yeah, actually I've already been doing that. And most likely that person's just like, okay, cool, thanks. Like, cause they might have just forgot that you already told them that you were doing it. Or like, it's actually a weird thing. Like, because I have so much trust in you, I asked you to do it. And then I just forgot that I even asked you because I no longer had to worry about it. Cause I know you're going to get it done, Alex. So like, then I come back because my brain just forgot, or I forgot to check it off my list. And I was like, oh shoot, I got to ask Alex about doing that thing. And I come and do it. And I just need I got it. Yeah. I actually started doing it and I took over it last week or whatever. Or yeah, I've actually been doing that the whole time. Here's how I approach it. So I think the most important part is like, take a minute to like, is to like feel and then release if there's a negative feeling connected to that, obviously, with like, if you're feeling like, again, like not acknowledged or like they should already know, or like micromanaged almost in that sense, and try to understand like, oh, maybe they're just asking, and then provide them with the answer, right? Is yes, I am doing it. And this is when I started and what I'm doing, how I'm approaching it, depending on the situation. And then obviously from there, I don't know where the conversation goes because that might reveal other things. But like, I think that to me is how I would do that. I think back when I had in my previous life in the restaurant industry, when I was assistant manager, my manager was unintentionally micromanaging in a lot of ways. And it came from just the way his brain worked. Like, he needed to constantly be checking the boxes that he already checked 3 times. And so it took me a while to realize that, but he was typically checking just because his mind was like, you got to check that. You got to check that. Da, da, da. Had nothing to do with him thinking I wasn't doing it. Had nothing to do with him making sure I was doing it his way. It was just him making himself feel comfortable. He had to go through that checklist and check it off. And all he literally needed was me to give him a thumbs up or like, I got you, or whatever my response was. And that was it. So like, it can be a quick reaction to be like, well, yeah, like, why do you not know that I'm doing this? Or why are you not paying attention? Or like, what do you think? I just dropped the ball and I don't do what I said? But I think that it's important to sit back and go, okay, well, why are they actually asking this? And let me like just give them the answer with some calm response, and then we'll go from there. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I also don't know if that's where Alex was coming from or not. So hopefully, Alex, that helps.
It's hard, right? Yeah. No, I was just thinking it's hard without some of the context and understanding.
Absolutely, yeah, it could be tough.
And everything that you just said, as far as like the different ways we could go about this and looking at it, has happened to me. So, and a lot of it too is busyness, right? I mean, as a leader, you need to have some accountability to make sure that everything's running the way it's supposed to and smoothly. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, you're going to check up on things, but occasionally you've got so many. I mean, to use kind of that cooking analogy, I mean, pots on the stove that. Yeah, sometimes it's just curiosity of like, where we're at with that. And that's your opportunity to share what you've done. And I use this analogy, and I do it in a fun way in a keynote, Jeff, is I do this game where it's a 4-letter fill in the blank word, kind of like Wheel of Fortune, right?
Yep.
You've seen me do this before. And so I get a really good reaction from folks because whole concept is if you want to fill in the words, you're going to go to the negative and it's going to be a cuss word. But the idea is that it's not. Instead of that 4-letter word that starts with an F, it's actually fork. Anyway, I play off that, like, what the fork. But the idea
it's
behind
just
it,
a side note, guys. I've seen the hidden slides. It's actually all curse words. It's actually not. It's all negative. No, I've actually seen you do that multiple times, and it's like the same but different reactions every time. If that makes sense. Like it's the same reaction, but depending on who's in the crowd, it can be a little more boisterous.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, I was just in California and someone just like rattled off all the words. I was like, nope, that's not where we're going. But the whole point of it is like we fill in the gaps with the negative, and that's just natural, right? Like for instance, if I was to send an email to a teacher and say, hey, when you get a chance, come down to my office, and I just leave it at that, I'll have them in 30 seconds at my office saying, am I getting fired? And someone's covering the classroom. No, that's not what I was trying to communicate. I literally had a question that I didn't want to take you out of the class, but of course we fill that blank in with something that really typically is not there. And the same thing goes with this, right? If someone's asking and we're already supposedly doing it, our first thing is, oh, I'm doing it wrong, or they don't notice the work I'm doing. It's going to be filled in with that negative. And so I would just say, again, similar to like what we've talked about before about like being curious, not judgmental, of saying like, why don't they know this? And maybe it's just busyness. Maybe it's their plate is too full and they just haven't had time to really inspect what's going on. And so you can just go in and be like, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but this is the work that I've done, and letting them know, but not in a way of like, I have to defend myself. I have to defend my honor or my purpose, or, letting our ego get in the way and saying, why on earth wouldn't you know that I did this? Right. It could even be as simple as, hey, did you email that parent that emailed at 10 p.m. last night? And it's the next morning. Just because it was important. It was something that obviously needed to be replied to right away. So I know we can go in a lot of different ways, but I think the way that you come into it, as far as like your posture, your communication skills, as far as the tone of voice and how you're going about that in a curious way, I think that deflates things quite a bit. And then it becomes more informative versus I have to explain my purpose here on the campus or at the district level.
Yeah. And I think it's also like how you respond is easier or more difficult depending on how that person approaches the question initially. And I think that's where you go back to be curious, right? Because they may be approaching it in a way that maybe isn't the best way from a leadership standpoint, but maybe it's because they're having a bad morning. Maybe it's because they've had 4 other people drop the ball on things. And even though you got your stuff together and you're taking it, they're like feeling like maybe they, you know what I mean? So like, I think it's really important to consider that, because I think a lot of times, not all the time, I don't want to speak like too broadly, but a lot of times it's just the check, right? Like as a good leader needs to trust but verify. Like that's just the reality of it, right? Trust your people, but you need to verify that things get done, because in the end, it's you that is responsible for it. So sometimes that verify can feel like I don't trust you, I'm checking in on you, but it's really just like, I'm just checking my boxes. And as soon as Josh tells me he's done, I don't need to look any further. His word's good, I'm gone. Right. And so I think that's a piece. And again, to Alex, like depending on the context and the history of the person, like there's a lot of things that we don't know from that question that could change but I think calm and curious is always the best way to approach it. So that'll keep you out of a lot of trouble or uncomfortable conversations or situations for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Love it.
Good question,
and for those who are listening, if you want to jump in the comments, you have something that maybe we missed that you want to add to help Alex out, you can always put that in Spotify or YouTube. Spotify, I don't know if you saw this, Jeff. They have this comment section that you can actually comment on episodes.
I think I did know that. I think I knew that. Yeah.
This is a new revelation to me, and I love it.
Spotify folks, they're crafty little fellows over there, aren't they?
They are. They're always doing something new. So let's see. So let's do the one that just popped up on Voxer.
Yeah, I like the in the moment one. Yeah, let's go that one.
And this is from good friend of the show who I just mentioned, actually, Kim Gamaros, who just threw one in. So
yeah, you just had an episode with her recently, right? Isn't that what you were saying?
I literally said her name.
At that.
I know. I just said her name, and she must have heard it in the universe, and so she reached out through this Voxer group, the Aspire Leadership group. So, all right. This one is, how can school leaders recognize when their own need for control or certainty is actually getting in the way of teacher trust and innovation? Which kind of correlates to what we were talking about with.
Ooh, so how can leaders, say that one again?
I'm going to put it in as a banner because I think it'll be easier.
Oh, okay. I like the banner. So so essentially like I want to make sure that I'm hearing that correctly.
Here we go. So how can school leaders recognize when their own need for control or certainty is actually getting in the way of teacher trust and innovation? That's
This
a
is
heavy
interesting
one.
because it sort of connects a little bit to the last one, but to the first question, but from a leadership standpoint, right? Because it goes into whether it's your need for control or certainty, right? And that goes into I think I actually really like this a lot. These connect well because I said like trust but verify. Like the trust part's the important part. The verify is the cover in your butt, but the trust is the important part because then you're allowing the folks that you are empowering and given the ability to take leadership tools or take tasks on and use their intelligence, their experience, their expertise and stuff like that to get things done and actually get things done. And if you micromanage too much because of that need for your control, you're not able to let go. Like which is one of the hardest things as a leader, honestly, because typically as you've worked your way to that role, whatever that role might be, you've taken on a bunch of things, you've learned a bunch of things, and now you get into it and you're like, okay, I want to do everything right because I don't want to disappoint my boss now and my leaders and all that stuff. So you have this like, I got to get everything done. Everything's got to be perfect or this way or whatever. And the reality is you cannot do everything. And you have very highly educated, highly passionate, highly talented and intelligent people that can help you and should be helping you because it's all part of the game. And so I think the way to actually recognize this will actually kind of probably come from some of those conversations of the way in which your team responds to you when you are verifying. So when you're doing that check, that's why I say like it connects so well, right? So I'm going to put Alex into this role, right? So I asked Alex to do something and I have it on my list that, in a week or whatever, I'm going to check in with him. I want to make sure that everything's good and that he's good, right? And I might be in my mind going like, Alex is going to nail this, but I want to check in a week to make sure that I am doing what I need to do to support Alex. And the way that I approach that conversation with Alex is I go, hey, Alex, last week we talked about, or I just want to make sure like you're doing X. If Alex is responding in a aggressive or negative way or feeling frustrated, and I notice that, like, I need to figure out, it's again curious of like, why is he responding that way? Well, maybe it's because I've built a culture here or history here of people know that I just don't actually trust them because I'm always checking in. And then I need to examine myself and go like, well, why is that? Do I not trust him? And why don't I trust him? Is it because he's not talented enough? Because he hasn't proved himself, or because I can't let go, or because and so I think some of the culture and the feel is going to give you some indication of this. Also asking your teachers for the feedback, or your leaders or your teachers and your leaders, everyone that you might be leading, for feedback on like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel like I'm all over your back? If I'm encroaching on your ability to be innovative, like, do you feel like you can do that? Like, and don't get me wrong, some people are just going to give you the political answer because you're the boss and they don't want to, whatever. But I think getting a feel from them is really the key piece, but also just kind of keeping a pulse of like, why am I going to check on Josh today? Is it because I actually need to? Does he need me to? Or because I don't trust Josh? And because I need to know what's going on. And I need to make sure Josh is using the template I gave him, not some other crazy Google Doc template. Right. So I think it's a constant like check yourself type thing. You should be able to let things go and still check in with them in a way that is very easy for you and easy for them as well. And if it's not, there's a lot of reasons why it could be, but it could be one of them could actually be the fact that like you can't let go of control.
Yeah, I think sometimes leaders get so focused on the outcome versus the journey that it clouds like how to delegate and how to check in on people. So like, for instance, I know I did this a lot, especially early in my leadership journey of like, I need this to get done. I'm going to do it the best way possible to get the outcome that I envision. And what I learned was sometimes teachers would take things on, it would look different and the outcome would look different, but it was actually better. The whole process was better. The whole outcome was better than anything that I would have done. And it was less on my plate. But for some reason as a leader, it's like, no, I got to do it. And maybe that's that ego piece, right? It is like, no, I got to be the one that is taking control of this, is implementing it, is getting the outcome that I envision. And sometimes we got to release that control. And so I would just give permission to folks that are listening that are in leadership positions that if teachers are coming in, they're excited, they're passionate, and they want to do something, that the first response isn't no. Like, maybe find out more about it. Maybe just say yes and see what the outcome is. And I can think of plenty of things of teachers coming in. I worked with some principals that right away the answer was no without hearing them out. And the teacher just being completely deflated right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're talking about that trust level going away, the innovation, that spark goes out.
Yeah.
And like, how is that bettering that person? How is that bettering the campus? And, sometimes we just need to say yes and see where it goes. And if it doesn't work out, like, at least that teacher tried, and at least they're hungry to do more on the campus.
And I think that's the key where you said, and if it doesn't work out, because I was focusing on the word certainty. And I think it's this fear of what happens if I tell Josh to go ahead with that idea that I think is a little out there, but he's super passionate about, and I trust him. He knows what he's doing. And I had this, I'm likely to go to no, because I'm like, well, what if it doesn't work? And I think like it's hard, but we have to be able to say, well, like, what if it doesn't, like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like, then you have a reflection time with Josh and go, hey, why didn't that work? Okay, cool. Like, what can we learn? Can we pull anything from it, or what? Whatever. Worst case, it was a waste of time. Well, okay, like, it is what it is. You're getting paid for your time, like, so. Right.
Well, but like, honestly, I started asking questions because I knew what the answer was, and I just started doing shit. Like, I started painting my walls and like having students paint walls in my classroom. I didn't ask permission to do that. I started putting sculptures all over the campus because I knew I'd get the no, and I just started doing it. And I knew, like, from previous, like, admin was like, oh, kids will mess with the projects and they'll ruin them and they'll vandalize them and all this. And then the kids were respectful of all the installations that we put up, and I just did it. And then afterwards I was like, see, nothing happened. We can do this more, right? Like, I would just, push that line further, because I already knew if I was to ask permission versus ask forgiveness, that I would never get to do the cool stuff with my kids that I wanted to do. And so I don't think school leaders should have that as their culture. Like, your teacher shouldn't be afraid to go in your office and ask a question because they already know the answer is no before you've even introduced what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's tough. And I think that's where you have to remember that when you are in a leadership role, that's just the role you play within the team. Like, your job isn't to control people. Your job isn't to actually say yes or no. And that might be part of your job, don't get me wrong, to like make decisions. That's not what I'm saying. But like, your job is actually to support them. Right. And to support them to be better teachers or better, leaders, depending on where you're at and the whole hierarchy and everything. But I think it's a tough thing, but I think it's about self-reflection and letting go of the fact, like, and realizing the fact that, like, you can't control everything. You can't have certainty. And honestly, certainty is kind of boring.
It's true.
Being honest, like, it's boring, like, and it's gonna be boring for like kids, everything. So like, I think it's, but I think it goes back, circling all the way back around. Like, it's asking the question, like, okay, like, why am I questioning this, or why am I saying no to this, or why am I over Josh's shoulder, or whatever? Like, what is my actual reason for this? And don't get me wrong, sometimes there might be a good reason for you to do that, right? But figuring out what that reason is, and I think often you're gonna realize, it's a control thing, and then it's just working on yourself and noticing it and trying to catch yourself and adjust. So not an easy process.
No, reflection for ourselves was always tough. So, I mean, if you're willing to do that and to really dig in, I think that might uncover quite a bit of what's behind, your no, or the control, or some of those other components.
And trusting other people to do something that potentially reflects on you is tough. That's hard. It's tough. So,
all right. I'm looking up, Jeff. I can't believe we're already 27 minutes in, but you had mentioned earlier about the Edupreneur Summit, and I know that's happening Saturday, December 6th. Will you just share a little bit about that event?
Yeah.
If folks are interested, who's it for, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So some folks listening may or may not know. Obviously, we have, Teach Better, and we do professional development and all that stuff that we do, working with school districts and doing consultant work and stuff. But we also have a small little thing that we call our Edupreneur community. And it's actually recently rebranded. It was our Edu Creator Club. Now it's our Edupreneur community, and it's a community in a space built for educators that are doing something outside of their classroom, and it's a wide range. It could be someone who's starting a podcast, writing a book, maybe wants to do some speaking or some consultant, or maybe making some lesson plans that they're selling or trying to share out, or whatever it is. Like, there's a wide range of it. But if you're trying to do something in the world of entrepreneurship in some way or another, from side hustle up to all the we have folks at all kinds of range. Anyway, we're doing a free virtual summit on December 6th that we're calling the Edupreneur Launch Summit. It's all about helping folks that might have an interest in, or maybe you're already dabbling in, or maybe you're already like sort of in the thick of starting and growing or scaling something. This is an event to help support them. We've got 13 folks speaking, the majority of which are all educators who are either currently building something or are already like operating something very successfully, and sharing lessons learned from their journey around a variety of things, from systems and routines to types of talks you want to try and get, to the pillars and stuff that you want to build on, to Josh, you're doing a session about building, launching, and leveraging a podcast, right? So some really, really cool stuff. Chad's actually doing something all about how to actually sell without being salesy and stuff, which is such a difficult thing to do. And I know Julie Schmidt-Hassan, who was on your podcast not too long ago, right?
Yeah, a couple episodes ago.
She's doing a session on why entrepreneurs need a TEDx talk and how to get one, right? So like some really cool stuff in there. Anyway, so it's a free summit. There is a upgrade that you can get for VIP, but the summit itself is all free. There's just some extra perks with the upgrade if you want to. So it's over at teachbetter.com/edupreneur summit. So that's EDUPRENEUR, that word edupreneur, which is like entrepreneur with education. So Edupreneur Summit, and that'll get you in there. So if you need anything, obviously you can always reach out over at teachbetter.com or Jeff, JEFF at teachbetter.com. But we'd love to have anyone who's if you're even thinking about it, it's a free ticket. Come explore it a little bit. There's networking space inside our community there too, that you can network with other folks prior to, during, and after the summit as well. So
it's awesome. Yeah, all the people that are part of it, that are doing the presentations, I know personally they're amazing folks. So super excited about that. I'm honored to be invited to speak on something that Jeff, actually me and you have done at
We've done a lot with. Yeah,
I know, right? With the podcast. When I saw the list of people who were speaking, I was like, no one's doing a podcast. I'm going to jump on that.
It was interesting that no one went podcast. So it was actually worked. It made sense that you're the guy who does the podcast.
I know, right?
So it just works. It just works.
Well, teachbetter.com, head over there. I mean, if you're looking for educational, just anything, right? Courses, you're looking for a keynote speaker, you're looking for, there's so many different communities that you can be a part of, the podcast networks there. So obviously I've been working with Jeff and the team. I've been connected for over 6 years, amazing group of people, content. So if you have any type of need there, make sure you're heading over to teachbetter.com. Absolutely love everything that you're doing, Jeff. Can't wait for the summit. We'll make sure the link is in the show notes for folks to check out. Make sure that you're signing up for that. Yeah, you will not be disappointed because there's some phenomenal folks and speakers that'll be there. And then also you can check out the community. I think I've seen a huge benefit of being a part of that group for many years now. So make sure you check out that, because you're definitely going to get some value from being a part of that. Jeff, is there anything else going on before we wrap this up?
That's all I got. Let's wrap it. I think we're good.
We're good, man. Yeah. So if you have questions in the future and you want to be on a Aspire Mailbag, hopefully Jeff and I will come together shorter than 5 months.
Sometime in the next year.
But you can head over to joshstamper.com. There's a contact form that you can fill out, or you can hit me up on email, joshua@joshstamper.com. You can send your questions there, or if you want to hit me up on Voxer, because I am a Voxer head, you can Voxer head. With that, I hope everyone has a wonderful week. If you need anything from Jeff or I, please reach out. We'd love to support you in any way. And hopefully you're having a wonderful holiday season. And we will see you again, hopefully, very, very soon.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com. We'll see you on the next episode.